All right, good morning, everyone. Nice to see not a big turnout today, but there's some fresh faces here. Jacob, is it? Um, so I'd like to, I think I introduced Joanna in the past, but Joanna is now our newest member of Meadowtowne and got her full Treb membership on Thursday or Friday, I can't remember. So she's going to hit the ground running along with some other new faces. I introduced Charlie was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Last week, and Rosemary's now licensed. So we got some good stuff going. Is anybody sitting there? All right, you get my yeah. All right. So thanks for coming. Hopefully we'll get some more people joining us a little bit late. So we'll just touch on with some announcements quickly, and there we go. Okay. So Colleen and Kayla have planned a Halloween party for this Halloween Thursday. If you haven't received anything, please just let them know if you can come. They're gonna do there'll be some food and pumpkin carving, and I don't know if there'll be any dancing. Jacob will get the dancing started. Yeah. Registration or RSVPs did open up for Jeff Borg for his Killer Mindset workshop, which is next Thursday. Once again, if you weren't here for the last couple of meetings, there will be swearing, but Jeff is amazing, and he's got a great mindset. So I'm happy that he's going to be sharing some of the tips and tricks that keep that steel vault uncorroded. I don't know. You know where I'm going. Our next Enriched Academy will be November 13th, and this one is on mastering credit. So anybody that's a part of Meadowtowne has access to this. For a little interest today, nobody's scanning the QR code, but that's okay. The emails do come out, so you can register via email as well. FINTRAC. I don't need you to scan this. The email went out this morning, but you should scan it. This one is mandatory, folks. Everybody has to do FINTRAC training. If for some reason you cannot make it on November 14th at 11 a.m., please let me know beforehand, and I can. It is online, so it's over Zoom. But regular FINTRAC training is mandatory. I'm not the broker of record. I'm not going to jail. Alex will not go to prison for you guys. Imran Hassan will be doing building relationships through community involvement and engagement. Some of you this is a big part of what you do. Some of you could use some fresh ideas. So this is really good. It was something I've talked about it numerous times. I used to do food drives and stuff, and that was you can build your database that way. And the worst case scenario is you're helping people out. So that's not so bad either. Christmas wreaths. They're going to be a little bit different this year. You should have received an email from Crystal Mulhall last week. If you didn't, please scan the QR code if you would like a wreath. So what we've done in the past is everybody gets a wreath. That's not going to happen this year because last year we threw away a couple dozen wreaths. So it was kind of wasteful. So there's still no cost. Anybody that wants one will get one, but you need to let us know that you want one. So they are gorgeous. They're actually real wreaths. I'm not going to share your story, but they're real. They're amazing when you open the box. I have almost no sense of smell. And even I get that whiff of fresh. I think they come from New Brunswick, but yeah. So there's no cost to you, but if you can spare a little bit, we ask that you think about donating to shelter, but there's no requirement. You're not obligated to, and there's no cost. I think that's it for announcements. Does anybody have anything that they would like to announce or to anything coming up? Bueller? No? Okay. Showings. So there was, it doesn't look, when you see 6%, it doesn't look like there was a big increase in showings, but there actually was in a lot of communities. So in Halton Hills, there was a 22% increase in showings. Milton had 21% increase in showings. Milton, because of the volume that they get every week, or Mississauga, because of the volume they get, bring that down. But there was still an increase in Mississauga. I know talking to a number of agents that there was especially after the announcement last week, that there was an increase in activity. Pinder was the first one to mention it to me, where I think right away on Wednesday, he was like, my phone is ringing off the hook. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Erin mentioned to me that her activity picked up on some of her listings. So it was a good week. For the first time in 5 weeks, so for 5 straight weeks, we've been seeing declining new listings coming to the market, which is not unexpected. You get that big rush right after Labor Day, and then it kind of starts to peter out. But I don't know if it was the interest rate or the anticipation of the interest rate or anything else going on. But we saw a pretty steep increase in showings, which did not happen in the same week a year ago. So I thought that was interesting in terms of the number of new listings coming to market. Yes.
Quite a few cancelled relistings for that day.
Yep.
So I think that also affect the numbers of listings, but also usually when we relist it, the showing activity goes up too.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine there's probably, quite a few people holding inventory that were listed that day.
Yeah. When narrowing it down right into Mississauga, there was a 2% increase in showing, so not as much as some of the other ones. But you got to remember that a lot of the inventory we have in Mississauga is condos, which has been a softer market than the freehold market for many months now. So activity there did not pick up. Actually, that's not true. The sales picked up, but the showings did not. So I found that interesting. Days on market also came down by 2 days. So sales. Unit sales were down by 2 units in Halton Hills, but although there were fewer sales, there was an increase in the number of sales that were selling above asking. So the week before, there really wasn't anything that sold above asking, and all of a sudden there was a little bit of competition. Milton sales increased almost 50%. So it went from 20 to 29. 2 weeks ago, the most competitive price point in Milton was under $1 million. And then for the last week, that competition or that demand went into the next price point up. So between 1 and 1.5 million. I thought that was really interesting for context, that a lot of the people that have been sitting on the sidelines patiently in that price point, now they're getting, there's going to be a bit more demand all of a sudden. So that's something to keep in mind when you're talking to people. In Mississauga, there was an increase both in freehold and condo. So while we didn't see a big increase in showings, we did see a significant increase in condo sales. So from 32 to 49 units. So more than 50% increase week over week. Freehold, fairly steady, but there was a little bit of an increase there. Although there was an increase in units sold, fewer of those solds were above asking. So what that tells me is that you need to continue trying to be very precise with your pricing. So just because activity picks up doesn't mean that you can get lax on delaying those difficult conversations. That level of honesty that Alex emailed about a couple weeks ago is always required. So be vigilant about it. Yes.
Little pitch for a Monday morning meeting. Well, Jacob and I found we have to have those difficult conversations right now.
Yeah.
Weekly with how crappy the showings of activity is going. And we find these numbers super helpful. So
yeah.
If we've implemented now, making sure they're here, we then go back and take a look at all our listings and look at our numbers. So that does know if they're in line with what's happening at the office in the city. And then it gives us a lot of info to go back to all of our sellers. We say, hey, our office stats are this, in Georgetown, and this is the average for our listings, which happens to be in line. You're performing crap, you're performing great. And it was really interesting. We were able to tell one person was like, look, you're second best, and it was 3 showings this week.
Yeah.
So that's not good.
Yeah.
The beach, they were everywhere. So
yeah,
it is crap, but it gives some context.
Yeah.
Not to forget that they don't make the commission off this, but we use Jet-Del Homes for online ads. And then every week they give us a little snapshot, how many people clicked on it, how many people opened it, how many became leads. So we found it's a really good time now, Monday morning after the meeting. We got this info, our stats, advertising. Here's everything that happened. Leave me alone until next Monday. And then you're not getting that anxious feeling. It's been 3 weeks. I've been touching base with my seller. What do I tell them? I have nothing to say. This gives us a lot to tell and inform them, and finding it super helpful on the last week.
And like Pinder said, it does give them less of a reason to reach out to you during the week, because you've updated them on Monday, you know you're gonna talk to them again. Obviously, if something comes up, they will, and vice versa, but kind of sets the tone.
Yeah, and we remind them, we warn them, it's kind of like, okay, you know, if anything comes up in the meantime, we'll contact you or you contact us, otherwise we'll inform you again next Monday.
Yeah.
And just reminding them, every Monday, we're gonna let you know what's going on.
You know, just to reinforce that, I think a lot of you, I've shared the story of my career and how I was a rock star year one and then basically failed out of the business in year two and had to move back in with my parents. It was humiliating. But I was mentored by somebody, and one of the things that she did, Scott, you know her, Susan Taylor, she set up that expectation for communication with her listings right away. And you could do it with buyers as well. But the expectation was you will get a report every Monday, right? So that report will include all the feedback, all the showings. It didn't mean that you could ignore them for the week, but the expectation was they were going to get a formal communication with everything, you know, what's going on with the market, the report every Monday. And I found that really good because my problem was follow-up. I almost got knocked out of the business because I followed up with no one. And I just happened to get lucky in my first year when people they just fell into my lap. I was charming then. I was charming and good looking, and I looked fade in 6 months. Yes.
Think about just sell homes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys, but
Yeah.
iGuide has a really nice weekly report that breaks down. First of all, it's great. I feel like iGuide over Matharu and for 360 tours, but it also breaks down that first of all, new visitors versus returning visitors. It breaks down how long they spent on the site, so you know if you know the majority of people is like there for like 3-4 minutes kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like the historical of the listing, like overall how how many people have come to your have viewed your property. So something to think about.
Yeah. I used to use iGuide a lot. And then I switched to OTBX Air for my photography, and they used Matterport. But I find that they have their own site that gives a lot of those metrics too. But iGuide was great for that. I like that. I forgot about that. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, I lost control. There we go. Okay, most of our Niagara people, hey Trevor, most of our Niagara people aren't here today, but if they're watching the recording, Niagara stats, 19% increase in showings, which was along with a lot of Halton region as well. Days on market went down by 4 days, which is a little bit more than some of the areas east of it. 25% increase in new listings and a 40% increase in unit sales. So that's all of Niagara region. So you can parse that down if you have specific areas that you're looking at. Months of inventory. So largest change in the condo market was Toronto Centre, with a decrease of a little over half a month of inventory, which is good news. They've been pretty high for a while. Toronto West remained the same, and Toronto East increased by 0.3. So not much change there. Months of inventory in Peel. So Brampton, not a lot of change there, just down by 0.1. Mississauga is down to 4.7. So kind of creeping down there over the last few weeks, which is good news considering how tough the condo market has been for a while. In Halton, Burlington, relatively stable. Milton down by a little over half a month. Huge increase in Oakville. Oakville's got a couple of projects that are coming up to along Dundas there that are registering or close to registering. So I would expect to see a lot of volatility in their months of inventory for the next little while. Hamilton and Niagara, both increases of about half a month. So that's the condo side. Freehold, again, very different story. Doesn't seem to be that great correlation. But freehold in Toronto. So Toronto Centre actually dropped below 4 months of inventory. So that's that threshold that we typically use to define a seller's market. So Toronto Center entered a seller's market for the first time in 4 months. So that's good news there. Toronto East has been seller's market pretty much all year, and Toronto West is hovering around that 3 months of inventory. So fairly tight freehold market in the east and west ends of Toronto. Brampton held at 3.7. Mississauga, not much volatility there, so still decent freehold markets there. In Halton region, Burlington still under 3 months. Milton has dropped below 3 months, and Oakville is getting very close to dropping below that 4 months threshold. So almost all of Halton is a seller's market for freehold still. And I would think that that's going to remain for 3 more weeks, 2 to 3 more weeks, and then you're going to see the activity start to slow. Typically, hopefully, some people are predicting an early spring market. By early, they mean winter. Yeah. And yes,
Look at different pockets.
yeah,
You know, I find mostly I've been finding everything same.
yeah,
And then you start traveling and, you know, I've got a client looking at, you know, freehold and Vaughan.
Yeah.
So York is still on fire, multiple offers, hasn't slowed down. And I find for whatever reason, you know, Durham has always been like that too.
Yeah.
Not just right now, but like earlier in the market, we saw everything decreasing, but Durham for some reason was still on fire and multiple offers.
yeah,
So there's something about those two regions I find right now is still hot to trot, multiples on everything.
yeah,
You know, they're 1.5, 1.3, 1.6.
yeah. That's why you need to really parse that information down. So we give market stats on, well, you'll see here, Hamilton and Niagara region. Those are massive regions geographically. So this paints a big picture, but if you have something coming up in, say, Niagara Falls, that's going to be very different from Niagara on the Lake. There was some times last year where Niagara on the Lake had just freehold was 22, 24 months of inventory. So every region can be a lot different there. Okay, any questions about stats at this point? Anybody seeing anything different other than Pinder? Nope. Okay, so I wanted to talk quickly about irrevocables. So for some of you experienced agents, this is going to seem fairly basic, and it is because you're experienced. But as you can tell from my introduction this morning, we've got a lot of fresh faces coming into the brokerage, and in particular this office. So I wanted to bring up the subject of irrevocables because it came up a few times over the weekend. I was getting calls. Fortunately, a lot of our new agents, they've been doing offers, they've been getting leads. It's great to see. But a lot of times you'll see in a listing 24 hours irrevocable, 48 hours irrevocable. And some people feel like if it's in there, that's what they have to give. I'd like to get your wisdom here because I have none. But wanted to just talk about how you might handle them. Now, sometimes we know there's scenarios where if it's a power of sale or an estate sale and there's a lot of people involved, there's not much you can do. If it's going through a bank and you know, somebody's only going to look at it between, well, they say 8 and 4, but it's really like between 1 and 1:30. So it's those banking hours are pretty tight, and you know, it's going to take a few days. However, in scenarios that are not like that, different strategies can be taken, and you have to remember that you're representing your clients, if you're assuming you're working with a tenant or a buyer in this case. Now, how many people have heard this when they're ready to put in an offer? Can you give me 24 hours irrevocable? One client's out of town, they work shifts, they're tough to reach. It's all bullshit. we have electronic signatures. There's not very many people that can't sign something. There are exceptions, but has anybody ever heard that story? Yeah. Okay. So, you know, here's a scenario. You find 1 or 2 listings that you're going to put an offer in, and the brokerage comment says they want 48 hours. Obviously, you have to give that to them, right? No, don't shake your head, Yours. You know the answer is no. Okay. So I just want to get some of the people that here that have, you know, they've done tens or dozens or hundreds of offers over the course of their career. How would you approach this? Pinder, you're never shy about this. I'm going to call on you first, and then everybody can join in and tell you how you're right or wrong.
I tend to call the agent regardless. of that comment. So we're gonna be preparing an offer, you know, is there anything I should know about the house? You know, what closing date are you guys looking for, the adding offers, things of that sort, so kind of some general questions. In that, if I did see that note, I'd probably prep and be like, hey, you know, I noticed your note that you needed 24 to 48 hours. You know, unfortunately, my clients are not comfortable with that, so it's gonna be shorter than what you're asking for. And then I'd probably just kind of pause and let them, well, no, I need it because of, and then I think I have to judge from there, the level of bullshit. I call it, so 1 or a 10.
Yeah.
Answer that seems genuine.
Yeah.
Then, you know, it still may not say I'm going to agree, but it creates a conversation with the buyer.
Yeah.
So now when I get off that call, I'm gonna call the buyer. So listen, I talked to the agent, I got this feeling. I think they want close to asking, I think you know, there's room. By the way, they notice they're not flexible on closing because they haven't bought a house. Oh yeah, and that irrevocable, I told you we're gonna leave it till tonight. They did have a pretty good reason. I think we should respect it and give it till tomorrow. Or, you know, they asked for that, but I think they're just playing games. So I think we should stick to our, you know, strategy and do it for a shorter period of time. I think it's kind of getting that feeling of that agent first. And then a reminder, it's all my buyer's decision.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's the point. When I gather the info, say here's the pros and cons of whether we listen to that irrevocable or not. What would you like to do?
Yeah. Yes.
I think sometimes it is legit because I recently worked with somebody who's in India.
Mhm.
So there was a 10-hour time difference.
Yeah.
And then I remember years ago, I was working with someone who was a flight attendant.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed that time.
Yeah. Although most airlines have Wi-Fi on. Yeah. 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 You know, something that that I would do sometimes, especially if you were working in a fast-paced market where, you know, it was multiples or stuff is selling quickly, or if you're working with a tenant, I was just upfront with them and if with the listing agent. So I would call them and I would say, I know you're asking for 24 hours irrevocable. With rentals, oftentimes you give that to them because they want to do due diligence, but usually I would insert a clause or a condition that says they have time to do due diligence, but it would be a short irrevocable. That way I could at least tie it up and they wouldn't look for somebody else. But I would just be honest and say, I'm not going to give you 24 hours. And I would just be direct and let them know you know, we're not looking to compete. I'm not looking to set you guys up to leverage this to get other people. So I'll give you a short irrevocable. And sometimes they would say that they couldn't deal with it in time. I would say, that's fine. We're still interested. If you can't get it done in time, then, when you talk to them, you can sign it back to us. And I would do it that way, but I didn't like the idea of being able to be used as a lever to prop up interest from somewhere else.
I think that having that conversation though is so key in many different ways because like Peter says, you get a chance to feel out that agent as well. And
Yeah.
he's gonna return to his client the same assumption of what he got off you. He's like, this guy's a jerk. He came in, he said he's only gonna give us 10, 12 hours. So I find that conversation has to be there.
Nobody accused me of being a jerk though.
No. I'm saying if I have to phrase what I'm saying carefully and be respectful and try to kind of feel them out. But absolutely, every situation is different. If my client can't wait, then ball's always in their court. So
Yeah, and I think that's it. Communication is important on both ends. It's ultimately, you're setting the stage for that negotiation with that initial conversation with that other agent. And getting that rapport and feeling out the situation. So I think it's very situational.
Yeah.
whether I expect that or not. I think it's the client's decision. You educate them to the situation and the ball's in their court. It's their decision.
but I agree with Jay in the sense where I don't like being used as a lever because they'll always be like, are you gonna register the offer? And I'll be like, yeah. I don't register the offer. Like I don't want anyone else to know that. It's their job. So, and then sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. So it'll, but then that can, you know.
Nobody likes the feeling of being used as a stalking
No,
horse, right? You know, Scott, I'm interested in your angle on this. Not that you don't deal with buyers, but you tend to have more listings than buyers. How are you on the receiving end of these kinds of? Yeah.
There, for whatever reason, They like, agents will say to me, can I give you a short irrevocable?
Mhm.
So jamming.
Yeah.
Doesn't actually help them jam.
Yeah.
Like not a sour taste so much it is that like I can't actually give them due diligence on an offer because they didn't give me enough time.
Yeah.
I would say that shorter irrevocable actually works against me.
Yeah.
Expired, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Quite a few years ago, I remember I had the listing, the agent gave me a 1 hour irrevocable.
Yeah.
But he also, just going on to saying about being jammed, he didn't have the clause in there that the balance, buyer agrees to pay the balance of the purchase price.
Oh, that's a big no-no.
And it was easily missed, the price was great.
Yeah.
We sold it for the deposit.
Yeah.
One conversation, say, here's what I can do.
Yeah.
Give me time.
Yeah.
Here's- Okay.
Yeah. 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 And you're not likely to spare the wine. You're going to down the wine. Nobody wants to waste the wine, right? Yeah. Raymond, yes.
This is offer. They lost and the potential buyer.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, oftentimes if you see power of sale, estate sales, there might be more than one executor, then, they might need to fight about it because somebody's more worried about. Yeah, somebody wants to get rid of it, somebody wants to make sure that they top up their inheritance, it's tough. So anything where there's power of attorney, but just to add to Scott, I don't normally jam people with an hour irrevocable, but I might say like, here's, like, I'll give you 6 hours or like, but yeah.
Yeah, especially depending on the time of day. If it's not like 8 PM, 9 PM,
Mm.
middle of the day, morning.
9 o'clock.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I love
Ten
it.
at
Yeah,
night.
it's 4 hours.
Barely.
Half hour left in the day.
Speaking of which, it's not really related, but one of the conversations I've had, actually, I had this conversation a couple times this weekend, was conditions. So people were talking about putting conditions and deadlines, and it seems to be the default is 11:59 PM on such and such a date. And I always feel like you don't have to do that. So if you have a financing condition, banks close at 5. So they're going to know by 5 on whatever date. So you can set up a bedtime for yourself too. And that, yeah, so you can say like, like the deadline can be 7 PM or 9 PM. It does not have to be midnight every time. But I know more often than not, I see 11:59 PM, and I try and say, you don't need to put yourself or your clients in a position where they have to make a decision when they're exhausted. You can get it done beforehand. You can pick it up the next day. There's stuff. Yes.
Depending on how awesome your broker is, a guy like
Thank
Ray,
you.
A guy like Ray will even have sometimes a file transferred to somebody at the bank in BC.
Yeah.
So, 9 PM may be good, because you might be at 5, 6 o'clock here, all of a sudden somebody else picks up the file on that side, where I've had an agent be like, well, if you haven't gotten it yet, you're not gonna get it. And I'm like, actually, no.
You have that kind of pull?
He
Wow.
flies there himself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's not part of the shooting.
yeah,
Be tactful, respectful, and stand your ground, so it's good for your client as well.
yeah,
Your way.
yeah, yeah. There was a, no, no, no.
Example, you did a purchase. And the first house we were interested in, I gave the agent a call and I asked him, I was just like, hey, what's your seller expecting, closing price wise? Wouldn't give me gave me very little information. Right away, he just turned the table. He said, well, what can you give us? I was like, well, usually I feel you out, you feel us. He's like, yeah, of course, that's how you would like for it to go. So he gives me no information. I go back to my clients and have to tell them exactly what I like, what he said, right? I was like, he didn't give us, and I'm just kind of a jerk. They're like, okay, we'll move on to this next one. So we purchased that one within 2 days after. He messages me again and he's like, hey man, like, you guys still looking? And I was like, no, we bought. And he's like, what did you happen to buy? And I was like, something identical to yours, because the agent told me what they were looking for. Yeah. And then I was like,
Yeah.
"So literally down." Yeah, 100%. And it's, we're on the same team here. Like, we're both protecting our clients and get something that works for both parties. And so we're in, right?
Yep.
Now you.
I had a townhouse for sale, agent calls me and says, what's the lowest price you'll accept? Yeah. I gave him the breakdown, like, considering what's sold in the other townhouses, price per square foot, we're very competitive, we're right there, in fact, we're below anything price per square foot that has sold. It's a fair price. You tell me what your client wants to offer. Don't ask me what my client's gonna accept, because first of all, they're already losing money on it, because, you know, it's one of those, well, it was an assignment, but it was when they bought, it was pre-construction, when they bought to the value added, right, they were losing money on it. But
Yeah.
they don't want to lose more money.
Just you can respond with, I'll talk to them about accepting your client's highest price. Yeah, yeah. So, and it can happen with irrevocables. I remember I was once in the same office as the agent was at the time #1 in Canada, and I was eavesdropping on a phone call because they were in the office right next to me, and the irrevocable was like 9 p.m. or 8 p.m., whatever it was, and he said, all right, well, you know, talk to your clients and get me a sign back before 9. If it's after 9, we'll pick it up in the morning. And the conversation was like, well, no, I'd like to get this done tonight. And the agent that I was listening to was like, no, I'm done at 9. And if it's, you know, if you want to accept it and get it done by then, great. If you're going to sign it back, then we'll pick it up in the morning. And it went back and forth like that a couple times. And it was just a very soft, I don't work past 9 and we will pick it up in the morning. Yeah. You're a terrible example, but
Decided that it slipped to that and became the norm, and it's like,
yeah.
you know, if you don't answer immediately, or, you know, don't answer at 11 o'clock at night, like.
I was terrible at it too. So I remember my first deal went until past 1 in the morning in the middle of a snowstorm. We were sitting in an unfinished basement, but so I did anything at any time. But at the same time, I've come across people and clients where, you know, they do shift work, or they have sleep issues, or they have their routines and they're very set on it. And you know, if they stay up past a certain time, if whether it's 8 or 9 or 10, whatever that time is, they don't think the same way. Their brain doesn't work the same way. They get, you know, maybe it raises anxiety. And I don't think it's fair to put those people in a position where they might make a decision just to get out of having to do this anymore. So you kind of want to tailor it to what's going to be in their best interest. And sometimes it's not in their best interest to stay up to 11. Sometimes it is, right? So you play it by ear. Yes, Jim.
Yeah, so earlier you were saying about conditions expiring at 11:59. You can say the same thing about irrevocables. Irrevocables don't have to expire at 11:59.
Yeah.
If you want a life, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
You know?
at this point in my career, I'm like, I'll give you everything to my client. I'll give you the hours in my day. I'll give you the shirt off my back. I don't care time and place. I'm there. I'm there. I'll sleep from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. I don't care. I will sleep up. I have a great mentor who's a like at this point, I see, I think it's just situational. Like you said, at the beginning, you were willing to do anything. You were in an unfinished basement, a snowstorm, with new clients. Right? But you were willing to do it. So I think it's just,
I'm also a night owl, so.
Yeah. But your client might not be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. They're early morning people. Pick it up in the morning.
Yeah. Does anybody else have anything else they'd like to add to this? Okay, the last thing I want to touch on, and then I'm going to let Deepika speak, is I'm going to try something called Media Monday. This was an idea that I had a while ago, and then Pinder mentioned something in last week's meeting. Ray was putting up a really good slide about stuff that could be used for content, and Pinder immediately filmed 4 videos or reels or posts. And I thought that Monday's kind of my favorite day in the office. It's when we have the most people here. The energy is good. So I wanted to talk a little bit about about why video is important. I'm going to skip through the slides because it was going to be a longer lead in, but we're already approaching that 45 minutes an hour. But I wanted to give some stats here. So these stats are from NAR, so the National Association of Realtors in the States. And what they've been finding, this was as of 2023, so it's fairly recent. Realtors earn 403% more inquiries if they're using video marketing. In this particular article, they were talking about videos on your listings, but it did touch on and link to other research or statistics on just video in general, whether it's YouTube. Speaking of which, did anybody know that YouTube is the 2nd most used search engine in the world? Amazing. Okay, so obviously more inquiries equals more leads equals more opportunities, and more opportunities, the more opportunities you have, the better you get at converting them into sales. The other one, viewers remember 95% of a video message compared to 10% of what they retain from text. So that's really good. And then only 38% of agents, again, this is in the States, but there's a correlation in Canada, are using videos in their marketing. And that is just talking about a realtor that has used a video. They're not even talking about consistency. So there was one article I saw, but I didn't see any evidence backing it up, so I didn't include it. But they said that less than 9% actually use video consistently. So, for those of you that think that you're seeing a lot of video or a lot of realtors that use video, of course you are. That's your algorithm on your thing, but most are not. So if you adopt video in your marketing now, you're still on the leading edge. So it's not something that you've missed the boat on or that you can't do. So to that effect, I want to try something called Media Mondays. So I've invited, a lot of you might know Deepika, sitting at the far end of the room by name. Deepika is one of our agent services. And I've asked her to come in. She's going to have a few minutes here if I can get her PowerPoint up. She's going to come in on Mondays, and we'll see how much appetite there is for it. But what we're going to do is start planning a couple of hooks and the social media posts, and she will stick around for 2 or 3 hours to help you record stuff. So you bring your device, she'll help you record it, she'll help you post it. I was hoping Emerson would be here because Emerson takes up her time with videos as well, and he sings her praises. He's actually called me to tell me how helpful she is. So for those of you that are interested, you come by, you bring your phone, which it's always on you anyways, so that's not a problem, and just hang around, and you can film stuff together, you can link with other people, you could do it on your own, you could have the recording room, but Deepika has offered to help, and so to that effect, I'm going to put her on the spot and ask her to speak for a couple minutes. Just give me a minute to see if I can get your screen up. I took it from your LinkedIn. Oh, there we go. And I think it is. What's that? Gotta find, where did I put yours? Second here. Oh. Second here. There we go. So this one just changes it there.
Okay, perfect. So as everyone knows, my name is Deepika. I've been at Royal Beach Meadowtowne for almost a year now. On top of that, I have 6 years of real estate experience. So just working out of brokerages. I do have a minor in marketing. I have a background in marketing and content creation. At my old brokerage, I was running their marketing team as well. So just helping agents create things like door hangers, feature feeds, all that fun stuff. And I also run a seasonal event planning business called Wake and Make Events. Is it the other one? Yeah. And the reason why I'm here today is to kind of express how important it is to make video content. So why is video content important? In my opinion, video content is one of the most effective tools you have to connect with clients. It builds quick trust and it gives clients a sense of who you are. For example, I want to put Pinder on the spot here. He makes a ton of videos. It doesn't even have to be real estate related. He makes videos on his fashion sense, just random things like Heather decorating his house for Halloween, just a bunch of different stuff. Yeah, people are nosy. People want to see this stuff. So, and it does get him a lot of views. But yeah, people remember visual content, especially on platforms like Instagram and TikTok. In my opinion, short videos that are under a minute get high engagement and are perfect for answering frequently asked questions, showcasing listings, or explaining real estate terms. So how can I help? So my goal is to help you create quick and impactful videos that grab attention. My real estate experience means that I know the daily questions and challenges that you face. For example, just like picking up the phone at the front desk, I know a lot of the questions that you guys have already faced within just talking to your clients. I'll help you plan, shoot, and edit short videos that speak directly to your buyers and sellers. My marketing experience can also help you frame content in a way that's memorable and authentic. I also do have a bunch of scripts ready to go in case if anybody wants to shoot today, we can definitely do that. So what
Have you been working with Pinder?
I'm gonna be working with everyone here.
Because I'm impressed with you. That you don't always-
Yeah.
And, yeah, you're here.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
First, you believe in one. Those people came forward and bought 60,000 a year. And as you've seen from my video content, I don't have a fancy studio, no fancy equipment, I don't walk around with lights and big cameras. My buddy's cell phone is cheap, Amazon mic. We have a nice little facility office, free that you can use. There's really no excuse. Deepika is absolutely amazing. They give you the content. You've got a media room. We have people like Ray who give us ideas and content. It's really not as hard as you make it sound. And I'll throw Ray out under the bus here. I remember when he first started. I'm sorry, Ray. Don't ignore Victoria, you've got Jason, you got Deepika, you got media, you got Mike here, you got every. We're on the picture of the.
David and I are always worried about not contacting our people enough. We don't talk to them every day on text, but they see us more than we know on Instagram. So they feel like we're in their life every day. So when we call them, we're like, oh my God, it's just right in 3 weeks. They're like, I don't feel like that. I see you every day. Yeah, so we need issues this morning.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say, what we'll be working on together, the main thing is brainstorming. So topics that will answer your audience's common questions. I'm gonna take the irrevocable date as an example. It's a long word and a lot of people don't know what it means. It's a scary term. So if we could just break that down, like, and use that as content, like just, what does this mean? What does this mean to your seller, to your buyer? It's gonna be like, what, a 30-second video, and it'll be so informative. And scripting, so quick and clear ideas that fit within a 1-minute video. It doesn't even have to be 1 minute, like it could be up to 30 seconds and you'll get a ton of more engagement. Filming tips, so how to make your videos look more polished with minimal equipment. No, I'm not going to be bringing a ring light or anything serious. It's just going to be me holding your phone and just me showing you how to edit. So the basic editings. So simple edits to keep your videos professional and engaging. And lastly, publishing. So the best practices for posting videos. A lot of people don't know this, but there are certain times that you should be posting your videos. Of course, you shouldn't be posting at like 10, 11 p.m. Nobody's probably awake around that time, so you're not going to get that much engagement. So here are some real life examples. So for explaining key terms. So example, what is a closing date? You can break down the jargon in a fun and simple way. Property tours, so 30-second highlight of key features like check out this natural light, check out this, check out that, whatever the case is. Tips for buyers and sellers, so maybe some quick do's and don'ts. And humor videos, everyone loves humor videos. So expectation versus reality, day in life. I know Jacob has a really good video of him like stumbling out of his car, saying like, oh, like this is what people think I look like as a real estate agent, but this is what I actually look like.
That was a real documentary. That wasn't.
I saw engagement on that video. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
You're talking about the tours. Something about some let newer agents know that help us out with the houses. Some video, ask the listing agent, hey.
Yeah.
It's also sign up for the video. Hey guys, I'm gonna be here Saturday and Sunday 2 to 4 at this house. Don't show the whole house. Now on Saturday, show part of the house and shoot a video. On Sunday, show a different part of the house and shoot a video. And you don't have to post them necessarily on both days if it wasn't an open house.
Exactly.
You can lean on heavy listing agents in your office and say, hey, can I just go to your listing even if there isn't an open house? Is that one vacant or the client okay with me to go? Go nuts, go film.
Yeah.
Film 4 videos out of that one house. And now every 3-4 days, drop one of the videos.
Yeah.
Right, and I think again, it's like having you now doing this is amazing because you can help the agents with ideas that you can get a week's worth of content in a very short period of time without having to have these brilliant ideas and become like a part-time job.
Yeah.
It's super easy, and now you guys have even more help to get it done.
Yeah, just to stress that you can get a week's worth of content and you're here anyway. Like you can get that content done by 1 p.m. today or 2 p.m. So you get two, 3 posts that go up, but then you're also going to get your featured listing during the week. You're going to get your home of the week. So you have something almost every day provided to you. Right.
And I just wanted to say, thank you so much for listening, and the floor is now open for any other questions or comments, suggestions.
Just something that I found that's worked in social media is obviously we all know this, but not just professional stuff like Tinder issues.
Yeah.
That's all I got. Thank you, everyone. Does anybody have any more questions for Deepika? No? All right. Enjoy your week, everyone.
Okay.
It was great. Thank you.